The NBA has blessed the Toronto Raptors. Some major details have been revealed regarding the NBA schedule this year, and some of it had some Raptors fans really excited. So we're going to dive into that, including an NBA analyst giving some serious praise to this new look Raptors, specifically the core that this team has been constructing and building, and the specific things to really get excited about heading into this season for the Toronto Raptors. So we'll dive into all of that in this video, but again, make sure you guys hit that sub button if you don't want to miss a single update regarding this Toronto Raptors team entering this season. But I missed the past couple days uploads. My voice has been abolished, but trying to get back on the mend, get back in the rhythm here today. So apologize, my volume's a little bit lower where I get things rocking. But let's dive into the news. Let's dive into what's been going on, because the NBA just blessed the Toronto Raptors in regards to some updates revealed regarding the schedule for this upcoming season. Now, again, the Toronto Raptors' schedule, nothing really changes in regards to the teams you're facing, regardless of the time of the year. Maybe get some extra back-to-backs. No crazy stuff has been revealed on that front. But the stuff regarding the schedule for the in-season tournament and the teams that we're playing in the new Emirates NBA Cup. The in-season tournament has been rebranded to the Emirates NBA Cup, and the Toronto Raptors really lucked out in terms of what the schedule is set up for how things are looking. So we make it bigger here. Essentially, the Toronto Raptors face the Milwaukee Bucks, the Detroit Pistons, the Miami Heat, and the Indiana Pacers, as there are 4 teams out there in this in-season tournament, Emirates NBA Cup sort of game and action. And you look at that and you might look at the Bucks, you might look at the Heat, it's like, oh, those are some good teams. The Toronto Raptors are kind of a mid-level, middle-of-the-pack squad, at least right now. Might be worse, might be better, but looking at this sort of schedule, looking at the teams that we're facing here right now, this is an absolute godsend, given how beefed up, how improved the Eastern Conference has been, especially over the course of this offseason. The Toronto Raptors essentially dodged 3 major bullets in regards to this in-season tournament matchups in terms of getting wins, as they don't have to face the NBA champion Boston Celtics. They don't have to face the New York Knicks, who just were the 2 seed last year and then acquired Mikal Bridges. So they improved going into this season, made some nice moves around the edges as well, despite losing Isaiah Hartenstein. And then also the Philadelphia 76ers, who, again, always had Maxey and Joel Embiid, but also had Paul George added to that group, with Nick Nurse sort of constructing that group. The Toronto Raptors avoided the top 3 dogs, the top 3 teams in the East. Yes, you still have to face the Milwaukee Bucks, but again, their real major acquisition this summer was a Toronto Raptor, Gary Trent Jr., and their team that got 1 year older. Brook Lopez, very much in the twilight of his career right now. Chris Middleton struggles to stay healthy. They're the biggest threat out there in terms of a team. Maybe you could argue the Pascal Siakam-led Indiana Pacers. They made the conference finals due to some injuries to other teams. But again, you're going to have to face some decent teams with how stacked the East has been. But like Detroit, that should be a really gettable game. I guess we do have a history of losing to Detroit in untimely moments, so there is that. But Milwaukee, the Pacers, Miami are all very much winnable games, even when they matter, even when it comes to an in-season tournament when there's some motivation going on. Yes, the Heat are also a squad that has Jimmy Butler, still has these type of guys that Jimmy Butler says he's on a revenge season after not getting that max extension he was looking for from the Miami Heat. But man, I'm rooting for this Toronto Raptors team. I know there's still some people that are looking for Cooper Flag and looking for the squad to come back next season and tank it and try to get one of those top draft picks, and that's how it goes. Come March next year, maybe more, I'll be on that tank wagon too. But I'm really confident in this core of Scottie Barnes, RJ Barrett, Immanuel Quickley to start their ascent, start their upward trajectory, and probably take a step here now at this point. So assuming health, assuming they can stay healthy, I think these could be some really fun matchups and really reasonable wins for the Toronto Raptors to position themselves nicely in this pool play for the second in-season tournament, the first, I guess, NBA Cup, Emirates NBA Cup. I don't know if the previous years is going to get rebranded to this NBA Cup sort of style, but I know a lot of people don't care for the in-season tournament, just like a lot of people didn't care for the play-in tournament, entering the playoffs. And frankly, I think the play-in tournament was a massive W. And I think, especially as they work out some of the kinks in terms of what this tournament is going to be, scheduling and the crazy looking courts and stuff like that, I think this NBA Cup makes something to be excited about come November, come December, all those types of things. So again, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's an exciting thing. I'm happy the Toronto Raptors ended up getting some reasonable matchups with the Pistons, Milwaukee Bucks, Miami Heat, and Indiana Pacers, all very gettable games out here in terms of this division sort of conference in terms of the NBA Cup. But we also got some praise. The tanking fans might be disappointed in this as well, because NBA Analyst has given some serious praise to the Toronto Raptors core. Now, this group, again, some people were disappointed. Big moves didn't happen. Big moves weren't made regarding this Toronto Raptors team over the course of the offseason. But they let Gary Trent Jr. walk. But they made some sneaky moves, some around the edges pieces. But the big stuff that they did was re-sign Scottie Barnes and re-sign Immanuel Quickley. The big moves that this team made were at last year's trade deadline. So that's just kind of how stuff goes. We'll still see what happens with Bruce Brown. But NBA Analyst over Bleacher Report really likes what the Toronto Raptors kind of set up. Essentially, the injuries limited the number of reps Scottie Barnes and Jakob Poeltl could amass alongside the mid-season arrivals around RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley. The returns they delivered during their brief time together, though, are enough to get you thinking about the ceiling of this next season's Toronto Raptors team. Across almost 400 possessions without Pascal Siakam, lineups featuring this quartet post a net rating of 13.5 in the 98th percentile on the back of elite offense and defensive results. Went on to say, the sample size is a caveat, of course. Sub 400 possessions isn't much, but two of the fifth members of the most used iterations of this grouping, Gary Trent Jr. and Dennis Schroeder, are obviously gone and are on different teams, but the Raptors don't lack the finishing touch options. Gradey Dick can slide into that fifth spot, and same goes for maybe Bruce Brown or Ochai Agbaji if he can start hitting corner threes. So again, those encouraging lineups, those positives in regards to how this team was performing with our core four of Immanuel Quickley, of RJ Barrett, of Scottie Barnes, and Jakob Poeltl. Whoever you sort of slot in there, it was Gary Trent Jr. and Dennis Schroeder last season, but when the four of those guys were out there on the court, excluding Pascal Siakam, they were one of the best teams in the NBA. Now, I'm not saying anything blasphemous that the Raptors are going to be a top team in the NBA. I'd love for that to happen. I'm rooting for that to happen, but that does seem unrealistic after the season we just had last year. The depth, I'm encouraged. I think the core of this Toronto Raptors group is very positive. It's very in an upward trajectory, but it's the surrounding roster, how things are going to look around the edges. And they mentioned Gradey Dick, this guy I'm pretty excited about as well. Bruce Brown is a guy that can definitely play, but we're going to need to see a guy like Davion Mitchell really step up, really be that backup point guard for this Toronto Raptors team, play defense, knock down threes, do his thing out there on the basketball court. Can Kelly Olynyk still play? Didn't get a ton of run out there in the Olympics. Do we get a Christian Koloko to be this rotation? Can Jakob Poeltl step up? Can Ochai Agbaji make some shots? I know his summer league performance really frustrated a lot of fans that are excited about his defensive potential and the value he could provide to this Toronto Raptors team. But I don't think the core four is really the big issue. I think it's really just the pieces around it. And then obviously if one of those core four ends up getting hurt, if those guys kind of fall off the same way that happened at the end of the season, Scottie, Jakob Poeltl, RJ, Emmanuel Quickley out for a ton of games in the second half of the year, it could be another messy season for the Toronto Raptors. But they're together. If they're out there playing, at least three of them, then we have some players step up, from the surrounding roster, then things might be solid for this Toronto Raptors team going in. I like the Raptors getting some praise because feels like their offseason, their moves have kind of been bashed upon a little bit by not just the fan base, NBA fans in general. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below about this Toronto Raptors team. I need to take something from my throat. I feel like I'm getting quieter as this video goes along. Anyways, you guys are the best. I said it out. Cheers.